What if the proposal interruption at the end of season 4 was not the writers being cruel just for fun, but the exact moment Sullivan's Crossing stopped being a love story and became a family story? Because that is what season 5 looks like to me now. Not will Maggie say yes, because come on, we all know the answer to that. The real question is whether Maggie and Cal can actually build a life together once love stops being the hard part and responsibility takes over. And honestly, that is a much more interesting season than just rushing to the wedding. For a second, it looked like the finale was about to hand us the moment fans had been waiting for. Cal on one knee, Maggie emotional, everything lining up exactly the way a romantic season ending is supposed to. And then Tracy walks in, the mood flips, and suddenly the proposal is not the story anymore. The future is. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Today, we are breaking down my biggest Sullivan's Crossing Season 5 predictions, why I think the engagement is basically guaranteed in the premiere, why the wedding is probably not happening as fast as some people think, how Tracy could become the emotional center of the next season, and why Liam may still matter even if Maggie's heart has already chosen Cal. Now let's get into it, because in my opinion, Season 5 should not waste time pretending Maggie still does not know what she wants. Season 4 already burned through that uncertainty. Liam came back, the past reopened, and Maggie was forced to confront a version of her history she had misunderstood for years.
That conflict mattered. It gave us pain, guilt, and emotional confusion that actually felt earned. But by the end of the season, the important part was not whether Liam still loved her, it was whether Maggie would stop hiding from her own future. And she did. That is why I do not think the proposal cliffhanger is a real will she or won't she situation. It is just the show buying itself time to move the focus from romance to what comes after romance. In other words, the season 5 premiere should absolutely give us the yes. If it does not, then honestly the show is just stalling. The more interesting material starts after that. Now let's talk about Tracy, because I really think this is where season 5 either becomes the strongest season yet or completely wastes its biggest opportunity. Tracy coming into Maggie and Cal's space changes everything. Up until now, most of their relationship drama has been emotional, misunderstandings, timing, Liam, fear, distance. But Tracy takes all of that and drags it into the real world. A child needing consistency does not care about your unresolved tension or your beautiful speeches. She needs safety, patience, routine, and trust. That is why I think season 5 should revolve around one brutal question. Can Maggie and Cal be great for each other while also being good for someone else? That is not the same thing. A couple can survive love triangles and still fail at becoming a family. And because Tracy already seems more comfortable with Cal than with Maggie, I think that imbalance is going to create pressure immediately. She may test boundaries. She may push Maggie away.
She may lean too hard on Cal. And before anyone says that sounds too dramatic, let's be honest. Kids who have been bounced through unstable care situations do not just walk into a new home and instantly relax. They test the floorboards. They test people. They test whether this place will still want them when they stop being easy. That is what could make Tracy such a powerful season 5 character. Not because she creates random drama, but because she reveals what Maggie and Cal are actually made of under stress. Now, here is the what if that keeps coming back to me. What if Tracy is not the obstacle between Maggie and Cal at all? What if she is the thing that finally makes them function like a real team? Because if they survive the arguments, the parenting differences, the fear of getting it wrong, and the pressure of building something stable for her, then their relationship stops being theoretical. It becomes proven. And that is why I think the show should resist rushing to a wedding in the first half of the season. Let us watch them earn that future in a more grounded way. Let us see wedding planning get interrupted by real life. Let us see them disagree about Tracy. Let us see them screw it up and recover. That is better television than one more round of does Maggie still have lingering feelings? Because if the show is still doing that next season, it has learned nothing from the end of season 4.
Now, let's go back to Liam for a second, because even though I do not think he should stay at the center of the romantic conflict, I also do not think his role is over. He matters too much for that. But his best use now is not as a triangle point. It is as emotional aftershock. He already forced Maggie to confront the gap between what she believed happened and what really happened. That kind of revelation does not disappear just because she chose Cal. So if Season 5 uses Liam at all, I think it should use him sparingly and with purpose. Maybe one conversation. Maybe one scene where he and Maggie finally reach actual peace. Maybe the divorce paperwork becomes the real closure, rather than another attempt to win her back. That would be far stronger than dragging him back into the same emotional loop again. Because once the audience knows Maggie's answer, the only thing that matters is whether she can live inside it. Now let's talk about Cal specifically, because Season 5 is a huge opportunity for him. For a lot of Season 4, he was reacting to Liam, reacting to Maggie's silence, reacting to emotional uncertainty. But if Tracy becomes central, then Cal gets something new. Agency. He has to define what kind of man he is in a more practical, visible way. Not just a patient boyfriend, a potential husband, a caregiver, a parent figure, a partner under pressure. That is much richer material.
And honestly, I think Chad Michael Murray is going to thrive if the show gives him scenes that let Cal be warm without being passive. One of the things I would really love to see is Cal and Maggie not just surviving problems, but actually solving them together. The source material around the Season 4 ending already points toward that desire. Chad himself has talked about wanting to see them operate as a united front instead of being torn apart by inside relationship conflict every year, and I could not agree more. If Season 5 wants to stay fresh, the obstacles now need to come from life, family, illness, Tracy, grief, outside pressure, not from Maggie forgetting every 5 episodes that she loves Cal. Now let's widen the frame a little, because there are other threads that could make Season 5 much more emotional than people expect. Cal's father's health feels like one of them. If that storyline gets darker, then Cal could finally become the one needing to be held together, rather than the one always doing the holding. That would be a strong reversal. It would also test whether Maggie can show up the way Cal has shown up for her. And then there is the family angle. If Phoebe and Walter or other people close to Maggie become more involved, the season could use that to pressure test the relationship in another way, not through jealousy, but through belonging. Does Cal fit into her world fully? Does she fit into his? These are quieter questions, but they matter a lot once a wedding starts becoming real. I also think the show should not ignore the wider crossing itself.
One of the biggest reasons the finale worked is because it brought back the community atmosphere that earlier parts of Season 4 sometimes lost. So if Season 5 gets too locked into only Maggie, Cal, Liam, and Tracy, it could start feeling narrow again. Frank, Edna, and the larger emotional community matter. The crossing is not just a backdrop, it is the whole emotional logic of the series. It is the reason characters heal the way they do. So whatever conflict Season 5 brings, the show needs to keep that warmth alive. Now let me lock in my predictions. I think Season 5 opens with Maggie saying yes. I think the wedding gets delayed not because of doubt, but because life immediately becomes heavier. I think Tracy becomes the real emotional center of the season. I think Liam's role becomes closure, not temptation. And I think if the writing is smart, the final episodes move us toward the wedding in a way that feels earned through responsibility, not just romance. Before I finish, here is the fast-fire version. Maggie already chose Cal. Tracy changes the story from romance to family. Cal finally gets a more active emotional arc. Liam should matter less romantically and more as closure. The wedding works better if it is delayed and earned. And Season 5 becomes much stronger if the conflict is about building a life, not just declaring love. So overall, I think Sullivan's Crossing Season 5 has the chance to become the show's most mature season yet. Not because it gets darker, but because it gets realer. Love is one thing, building a future is another. And now, Maggie and Cal finally have to prove they can do both. But anyway, those are my biggest predictions for Sullivan's Crossing Season 5.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Tracy brings Maggie and Cal closer together, or is she about to reveal cracks in their future they are not ready to see? I will catch you in the next one.